All right. Well, we've made it. We've made it another trip around the sun, Matt, because it's
That's true.
officially March
Sure is.
and
And
the best month of the year.
yeah, I'm not going to dispute that.
I mean, this is what we wait all year for, and
Yeah,
it's time now. We got the Horizon League tournament kicking off tonight. By the way, have you seen that bracket?
awesome. Yep.
What is going on with that thing?
That's anyone's tournament, man. I think Wright State's the top seed. Um, there's some, like
Did,
not sure
did
how
you
they'll
see?
fare in
Did
NCAA
you see the
tournament capacity,
actual
but
bracket structure?
yeah, I think
That
these
is
teams are starting to. West Coast Conference did it first. Now all these other teams are trying to follow suit.
well, the Horizon League, like they have like everybody plays tomorrow, but they have like
Yeah,
one game tonight, then everybody plays tomorrow, and then if you win tomorrow, you get a bye after. Like it's fucking like
yeah. You got the playing game tonight. Um,
yeah.
so
So you got playing game tonight, then
mhm.
all the games tomorrow, and then if you win tomorrow, you get like a bye after. Dude, it is it's something.
You're
Yeah,
talking about
crazy
the
stuff.
Horizon League.
Yeah, when you start seeing like formats where you're just like, what is going on here? You know, it's March.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Love a wonky conference tournament bracket. Not
Yeah,
much
That
better. No.
Sunbelt, it was insane.
yeah. Sunbelt is also a wild one. I'm gonna go ahead and go retweet this stuff. Um, Jacob, are you reeling after
Yeah,
yesterday?
yes. Yesterday was just like, what is going on? Like, I really don't know. I really don't know what's going on with Purdue. Like, it's
The boilers are leaking a lot of oil right now.
yeah. I really think it's all about leadership. To be honest, at this point in the season, like
And where does
I
that start?
I don't know if you saw Braden Smith's tweet or Instagram post last night.
I did
He
not know.
posted he posted Allen Iverson practice, like a picture of that, which was quickly deleted. I I don't know. It's just it's 100% an effort issue. Yesterday, the only players that showed up to play were TKR and ironically Lawyer, who's had a slump most of the year, and a little bit of CJ Cox in the first half. The big men just didn't show up at all, um, and just out of control on possessions we should have scored. All things considered, though, even with 7 losses, we're still number 7 in Ken Palm, which I don't know how, to be
I think
honest.
Gonzaga was eighth last
Yeah.
year, going in as an 8th seed. So
Mm-hmm.
it's happened before. Trying to think. Tennessee had, when Quanzo
Mm-hmm.
Martin was there, they had some teams that were really high Ken Palm, but they didn't always show up. Louisville had that for years. So, yeah, it's, something to consider. But I guess what would the Purdue finish have to be for you? Like, what would the NCAA tournament outcome have to be for you to be like, we have some serious issues in how we evaluate, how we recruit, um,
I would say
the profile of players?
anything below a Sweet 16 is like honestly a disappointment at this point in the season. Like it's an round of 32 exit with the amount of talent we had would not be optimal. You know.
Well, Purdue just can't defend. Like
Yeah,
that's what's
there's like
like.
no defense at all. Like
They
no
don't have
defense at all.
athletes. They just don't have athletic basketball players, and it shows up on the perimeter. And in the past, they've been able to kind of cover it up because the Isaac Haas's of the world, um, Zach Edey have been able to kind of cover it up on the interior. But TKR and Clough are not defensive stalwarts, really, so shows up a little more. Yeah, they just can't get enough stops. I think that's the biggest thing going against them right now, and they just don't have anyone athletic to defend the perimeter.
I mean, this, like, just entire situation, just to lay it out, and I'll let Jacob get to it more, but, like, I mean, we're talking about a team that's preseason #1, was legitimately in one key seed consideration still, I'd say a month ago, and now they are 5-6 in their last 11, and, like, they are seriously dragging their ass into the tournament. Like they have serious issues.
Yeah, it's just a lack of effort on all fronts, and I really think Matt Painter needs to, in this offseason, I think he needs to make some staff changes, if I'm completely honest. Paul Lusk and Terry Johnson are not cutting it. Let Terry Johnson go get a job at like IU Indy or somewhere, and Paul Lusk just needs to retire, get an early retirement, get a defensive guru in here, because the last few years, Matt Painter, we used to have a sign, well, we still do, but it's not been true for years. Defense is built here, and then it's all just been offense last several years, even going back to those Carson teams.
Is it lack of effort as much as, like, I know you're saying that, but, like, Matt brought it up. Like, I just don't think, I think it's just as much, like, more than effort even. It's the, like Matt said, they just don't have the athletes.
I mean, we just don't stay out on the perimeter. Like, we should stay out on the perimeter. I'd be fine giving up lobs inside. Just guard the perimeter, and maybe you could press the perimeter, and maybe you could get more wins that way, compared to what we're seeing right now, where we're just trying to guard inside and doing a bad job at it.
I mean, they haven't had great perimeter defense for some time. I don't think their perimeter defense was great when they were national runner-up. It was just inside. That was really the only way you could beat them, was if you attacked them mid-range or you just rained threes on them. They just don't have. They don't have really any capable defender. I don't know if it's an effort issue as much. A lot of defense is effort, so I think that is where some of the valid criticism comes. But they don't have the caliber of athlete right now, and I think the Big Ten is starting to get a little more athletic. Illinois is more athletic this year. Michigan obviously is way more athletic. Michigan State's been the most athletic team in the conference for years now. So it's just different. It's just a bit of a changing of the guard in some ways. And right now, I think that's going to have to be the biggest question they answer was, instead of, Oscar Clough, maybe go for a more athletic big in the future. And I know they've prided themselves on those real, like Clough was an elite rebounder at South Dakota State, and he's, not a bad rebounder at Purdue, but it's just not the same. It's just such a step up in competition that just have to nail some of those portal guys. And Purdue's player development has been good over the years, like, with Braden Smith and Lawyer. Jaden Ivey came along pretty well. So I don't know if they have a huge issue with that. It's just identifying the talent where it really fits what they want to do. And like Michigan has a clear identity on both ends of the floor. Purdue has an offensive identity, but I don't think they really have a defensive identity this year, and it showed up in some really big games.
We don't have someone that shows defensive effort like that Final Four team had. Lance Jones, even, and
Sure,
he was an elite shot blocker. We just don't have that. Clough isn't a good. He's just not a good defender.
Yeah, he's slow, and he's not, asking him to, like Illinois attacked him relentlessly when they won their game against him. Michigan was able to. He couldn't really play. So Yeah, I think that's probably one of the bigger issues they're going to have to confront going forward. Like, they definitely love the recruiting profile of those Indiana guys, those Midwestern guys. But yeah, now I think if they really want to level up, they're just going to have to take some chances on some more uncertain type of scorers and defensive players and some athletes that they haven't really done that with in the past. That's just never been something that Matt Painter has ever done. So yeah, it's it's not they don't need an overhaul necessarily because they've been successful. I would say that this is the most successful run of Purdue basketball maybe ever these last few years. But we'll see. It just is going to come down to whether they find the right parts to fit what they want to do, and if what they want to do still works, then good on them. But I think the rest of the conference has improved, and they just haven't caught up to it yet.
I really hope Hahn can be a good coming in next year, can be like a stretch big type that Michigan and Illinois have kind of dominated with the past couple years. I know he can shoot quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, and Purdue still has a chance to make a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8. They'll still have the best player on the floor in a lot of their games. So they have that going for them. Having one of the best guards in the tournament certainly will help, but they definitely have some issues.
They're just like liable to get beat anywhere in this tournament. Because like if you defend like this and somebody comes out and like like they're giving teams easy shots, and if you get whether like if they play like they played High Point in the first round last year, I doubt that would happen again. But like if they play a High Point or a team that can shoot the cover off the ball in like a 5-12 or 4-13 game, like wherever they end up, and that team comes out and shoots 55-60%, like they're done. They're gonna get beat. And the way they're defending, like they're gonna give teams these looks. And like with how they're because I don't think they're just gonna flip some magical switch defensively at this point in the season. Like I think they are what they are as a team, and as like particularly defensively. And like if they lose one of these games, that's gonna be their downfall. And like the way they're defending, like they are.
I think Travis cut out, but I think we've got to slow down the game quite a bit at this point. Like, just slow it down, play control ball with Braden Smith, and find the best look possible. Don't let teams run on us, to start the game. Can't get these bad starts and then bad starts to the second half.
Picked a great time to get a fucking spam call.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't think that Purdue would struggle with the team that would really run on, like a team like High Point. What Purdue is doing. I think Purdue would actually struggle with a team that kind of bogged the game down, and a team can get to like 50, 60 on Purdue relatively easily. I don't know if a team could get to like 80 or 90, especially if it's a back and forth game. I think Purdue's too good offensively. But if they run into a team that just bogs them down and they are in a game where it's played in the 50s or 60s, that's where I think that you might see some issues. Because if a team only has to score like 50 or 60 points to beat you and you don't defend well as is, that's where I think that they could run into kind of some trouble. But if they saw a Summit League, one of those Summit teams, or a Big South team, I don't think that would be the kind of profile of a team that would beat them. I think Purdue would welcome going back and forth with a mid-major team. I do not think they would if it was like kind of a grinded out type of game where they just threw everything they had at Braden Smith and forced somebody else to beat him. So we'll see.
Well, Jacob, I mean, they're what, 1-4 now when you've been this year?
Yeah, it's been a rough one.
That is That's brutal. I'm sorry. Like sincerely, I like that sucks.
In the
Like
last
I do feel terrible about
the
that.
last 2 years, they're 1-6.
Oh my god.
The last
That does suck. Like they've lost 7 games this year, and
and
Jacob's been at
I
4.
bought all those tickets. Like, I mean, I thought they were going to be a good team. Like, if they lose like 1 or 2,
Dude, if you go to the Final Four, you cannot go.
yeah.
Final Four, you can't go in the round of 64 or anything. Like, yeah,
Well,
I'd stay away.
If the matchup is Purdue versus ETSU, which is currently
Okay,
projected
that can be
somewhere,
exempt. Yeah.
yeah, I've got to be there.
Then
Yeah,
Jacob's
that's
gonna be
fair.
like, "Yeah, suck it, Boilers! Like, go Bucks!"
Yeah. That's fair. I would allow it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so that's Purdue goes down. A huge win for Ohio State, by the way.
Probably
It's
got
going to be
them in the tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
So
common
ridiculous.
theme of
And they have no business being there. That was such a like frustrating.
But who does?
win to-
This bubble is so bad. None
Yeah.
of these teams want to make, like, I mean, we just look at the bubble. Auburn took a quad 3 loss to Ole Miss. Auburn's done. As an Auburn fan, like Auburn should not be in like even in consideration for the like they just took a quad 3 loss and they lost 7 of their last 8. Like unless they go and win the SEC tournament, which isn't going to happen, Auburn should be out of this thing. So Auburn's won.
One of the questions I would have for you certainly would be Bruce has been taking some shots at Miami O and kind of publicly defending. Now, granted, his son's the coach, so it's not as if obviously he's going to defend his son at any chance he can. But like, what is the current? Because when Bruce last year, I think a year ago, would it be fair to say that Bruce was overwhelmingly either the best or most well-liked coach in the history of Auburn athletics?
Without a doubt.
And where would you say that kind of is today? Is that still the case, or is that kind of...
It's still the case because like none of the Auburn fans want to hold Bruce accountable for anything that's gone wrong this season. All the Auburn fans are just like, oh, like Steven he sucks, and like none of the Auburn fans and I said it to William Luke. I was talking to him on Saturday, and I'll just say it out loud. Like I told you guys on Friday, like Bruce Pearl fucked us with like. And I don't blame Steven. I don't think Steven's a bad coach. Like, and I said the same thing on Friday. I think being a first year head coach, getting the job a month, 6 weeks before the season with a roster that featured 1 returning player, 0 returning starters, no depth. I think Steven's done all right this year. I just don't think it's a good team. And I think Bruce Pearl, left the way he handled his exit, and it was the concern a lot of people had that I was hoping wasn't the case, and unfortunately it's proven to be the case this year that he handled his exit poorly, and now it's put Auburn in a really tough position this year and basically left Steven to take all the bullets for everything that's gone wrong this year. And yeah, but to answer your question, it's I'll say it, but I don't think a lot of Auburn fans will say it. A lot of Auburn fans just want to do anything besides point the finger at Bruce Pearl because they want to remember Bruce Pearl a certain way and, hold on to the good memories of when he was here and everything that went well and not acknowledge how poorly he positioned us this season with just doing a terrible job building this roster, compounded with assembling the number 1 strength of schedule in the country and just terrible scheduling in general, where we go to Arizona in the middle of December, then come back to Auburn, then go back to Indiana. It was terrible scheduling. He built a terrible roster, and then he just quit and was like, here, first year as a head coach, you handle it, Steven. And, oh, by the way, this roster sucks too. And, figure it out. Good luck, buddy. And, yeah, if no Auburn fans want to say the quiet part out loud and hold him accountable, I'll do it. He positioned Auburn terribly, and Steven did a good job, keeping it above water for most of the season, but now obviously it's imploding. And I don't think Auburn should even be in discussion for the bubble right now. Like I hate when fans, and I call it out all the time when fans will just wear the rose colored glasses for their team and like make any case and like twist reality to defend their team. And it's like, I'm not going to do that here. Like, this is not a tournament team. And like, I think it's insane that they're even like number one strength of schedule in the country. Great. Like that should matter. But at some point, like you got to win games. And like when you've played 29 games and you've lost half of them, you're not a tournament team. And like, you can make all the arguments about strength of schedule you want, but when make your strength of schedule argument, but if you're going to make that argument, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. And losing to a terrible Ole Miss team and taking a quad 3 loss at home on Saturday, that's like that nullifies any strength of schedule argument you want to make, because now we're not even winning the games we're supposed to win. So what are we even talking about?
Do you so you would disagree with Bruce's take then on Miami?
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with him about Miami, but I disagree with him that Auburn should be the beneficiary of that.
That's fair.
But also, like a lot of these, like that's going to be a common theme of this episode, where it's like Cal went and lost at home by 16 to
Terrible.
fucking terrible Pitt team on Saturday. That's a bubble team. SMU lost twice last week. Like I mentioned, Ohio State got a big win. Good for them. Michigan State had a chance, or Indiana had a chance to pick up a big win at home against Michigan State. They got smoked. USC got smoked at home by Nebraska. It's like a lot of these bubble teams are like, and that's like I put that in like the description for this, where it's like, do any of these bubble teams want to make the tournament? Like, will somebody and credit to Ohio State because they don't have the best resume, but they stepped up and got themselves a big win on Sunday. And with how a lot of these bubble teams look right now, yeah, do I think Ohio State's some great team with some great resume? Absolutely not. But when you compare them to how these other bubble teams look right now, like, yeah, like that was a huge win for Ohio State. And like, if like on right now to this day, like, yeah, Ohio State probably should be a tournament team. I think Ohio State's more deserving to be a tournament team right now than Auburn.
That's fair, and I can get behind that, I guess. I guess it just goes to the question of if, because this seems to be the most popular talking point in the sport right now amongst the casual fan who's just starting to get into college basketball here because it's March. What is Miami an at-large kind of team? And that has drawn some super heated discussions amongst a lot of people. But I would probably side with you that if they are, 31-0, or if they lose in the conference title game to Akron, I would probably put them in the field. I'd send their ass to Dayton, but I'd have them in the field.
If you're just asking me, I don't have like every bubble team's resume in front of me right here, but like if you were asking me like a 1-loss Miami or Auburn with 14 losses and probably 17 by the time we get there,
yeah,
it's not.
I mean, if they don't win multiple SEC tournament games, they're, that's their only chance at this point.
I mean, I don't like if they win both. They have 2 games this week against like home against LSU and at Alabama. You got to win both of those and win 1 game in Nashville, in my opinion, to even be considered.
Yeah.
And if they drop one of these games this week and they don't go to Nashville and win multiple games, I'm not gonna like sit here and like make like a bullshit case, like because Auburn's my team that like they should be a tournament team. Like they're just not a tournament team. They took, like I said, you like everybody's argument is the strength of schedule. cool. Great strength of schedule. They've gotten some great wins this year. But you've played 29 games. You've lost half of them. And you just took a quad 3 loss at home. You've lost 7 of your last 8 games. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah. And I guess, do you guys think this is good or bad for the sport, given the bubble? Because usually weak bubble, some of these teams means for a pretty loaded Sweet 16, loaded Elite 8, might not have your, classic Furman beating Virginia or that kind of game. But would you prefer the, stronger bubble, more upsets, or the weaker bubble, like better teams go further in the tournament?
I mean, obviously it's fun to have like the upsets and a deeper field, but I mean, I'd like to see a variety because we kind of already saw that last year with like a weak bubble and a chalky tournament. And granted, we probably got one of the greatest. Like we probably got last year. It's like the first week, like not one of the better first weekends last year, but we probably got one of the better Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Fours of all time. But, you want to see that pendulum swing back and forth. Like, you don't want to see, like, one every year. So, like, it's fun to have a year like last year, and then it's fun to have a 2023 as well, where you get a Florida Atlantic and a San Diego State and a Miami in the Final Four. Like, it's fun. It's fun, like I said, for that pendulum to swing back and forth. You don't want to, like... So, no, like, I would prefer this year not shape up to be a lot like last year, just because last year we saw the chalky tournament that ended up with some really good games later on, but not a great first weekend.
I hope every 1 seed gets upset, to be honest. That's
yeah. I mean, there's a gap between them and kind of the rest of the field, so it feels as if that would be not unlikely necessarily, but it feels as if it couldn't come from anyone but the hands of a 2 or 3 seed. But
well, Jacob doesn't actually care about good basketball. He managed to say last year sucked too. Like we had one of the greatest Final Fours of all time last year. Jacob's like, that sucks. I would rather have Samford versus East Texas A&M in a Jamaican bowling alley. That's good basketball.
I do think those runs are fun. NC State stumbling their way to the Final Four is kind of incredible given what they had to do to get there. VCU going is fun. Butler going twice is fun. Now, granted, those teams were legit good. Like, VCU was a legit, really good team.
Florida
Butler,
Atlantic.
like those teams could have won the national championship. Just crazy going through some of the first wave of college or conference championship picks here. I was making aside from Stephen F. Austin, Belmont, McNeese, it's really bad. Like the Ohio Valley, which used to be like Murray State and Belmont's league, stinks. It's like Austin P is, I think, the top seed.
Austin P is actually pretty good.
Austin P is not bad.
Yeah.
But
whoever wins the OVC will be going to Dayton.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can say that because you have the NEC, which might be hands down the worst conference in the country. That and the MEAC are terrible. So yeah, you got to get a spot for one of them. Like if LIU wins the NEC, it's hard to see them not. I mean, obviously you got to play the games first to see who gets out of there, but some of those teams are dreadful. Just
we had
really, really bad. And same for the Horizon League. Like, I don't know, Wright State's the top seed. I don't think that Wright State at this point in time is capable of beating a 5 seed or a 4 seed if they get them.
SIU Edwardsville won the OVC last year, and would they score 31 points against Houston?
Just outrageous, yeah. So they'll be cannon fodder for someone, but yeah, some of those it's probably gonna. Big Sky last year, that was a good league. Montana was a really, really good offensive team. They ran into Wisconsin. That was a rough matchup for them, but that conference this year is pretty bad. That's like Montana State's to lose maybe. But it's pretty rough. It's a rough slate of them. Like Summit will be good. That's St. Thomas in their first. I think they can actually go to the NCAA tournament this year. Merrimack can go to the NCAA tournament this year. So those will be interesting. But as for any of those teams, I would be pretty shocked if one of those teams somehow were capable of beating. Like, I just think the gap between the top 15 and the rest, like especially the bottom of the country in those mid majors, just been kind of not the most quality mid major year. It's just, you'll have to run into a few matchups. Now, there are some teams that are suspect to get beat. We talk about Purdue. St. John's is another team. If they're like a top 4 seed, I would not be shocked if somebody knocked off St. John's in the first round. But it's just hard
Gonzaga.
to see. Gonzaga could. But, Gonzaga in the tournament just, I don't know. They just get their mail delivered at Sweet 16 every year, it feels like. And they nearly beat Houston last year. So, yeah, we'll see. But, should be fun regardless. I mean, Conference Championship Week, people argue, is better than the NCAA tournament itself. I'm not one of those people. But, it should be fun with that stuff starting up tonight. And I just, Gottlieb's getting his tournament run ready. See if he can make it happen in year 2. I take it he'll just be on with the field of 68 guys, if he gets into the field. If they're a 15 seed, then he'll just tag along with them the rest of the way if they get eliminated.
Let's see what so we had over the weekend. Big results. Duke manhandled Virginia. Duke is so fucking good. Did Saturday's result change your opinion of Duke at all? From what you said Friday, Matt? Because Friday you were Friday you were not ready to really bang the Duke drum, but I mean they just dismantled the second best team in the ACC.
They did pretty
Saturday.
bad. Now, granted, I'm still for the record, I do think Duke is one of the best teams in the country. I still think their guards are going to be problematic. I do think Cam Boozer, at minimum, should get them to Sweet 16 or Elite 8 on his own.
But Saturday, they got a C game from Cam Boozer Saturday. He didn't make a field goal in the first half. He was not great on Saturday, and they beat Virginia by 26.
I mean, the biggest thing Duke has going for them is that their defense is probably the best unit of anyone's in the country. Duke's defense is going to consistently show up. They're not going to get beat. I think, for them, I still prefer them in more lower scoring affairs per se. But no, I think they can win a national championship. It's just going to have to be I don't know, a certain path for them to get to that point. And now I still think that offensively they kind of have a ways to go with the guards, with Foster and Evans in particular. But I wouldn't have no problem. They're not my top pick to win a national championship. I still think that Arizona is a better team than they are, just top to bottom. But they've proved it on the court that they're that good. So it wouldn't shock me if they won. But
watching Duke on Saturday, I kind of I don't know if Shire has said anything like this, because I'm not I don't go out and watch every single interview coaches do and stuff and that kind. It's if he said something like this or somebody's asked him something like this, I haven't seen it, but I think what's happened with Duke this year with their defense just being we know what happened to them against Houston in the back half of that second half game last year, where they Houston was just the tougher team and Duke got pushed around and out physicaled, and they made one field goal in the last 9 minutes of the game and completely sold that game away against Houston. And I think seeing the defensive emphasis on this Duke team, when that happened last year, which credit to Shire, it seems to me he adapted and changed his coaching style and was this is never happening again. We are going to be relentless on the defensive end. We're going to be the toughest team on the floor no matter who we play. And what happened against Houston never will happen again. And that's the read to like just from me watching that I've gotten from Duke this year.
Well, I mean, defensively, they're not much different than like they're not as good as what they were last year on defense. And it's a similar style of defense that they're deploying this year. But yeah, last year's team was leaps and bounds, in my opinion, better all around than this year's team. And on defense, they have a little more buy-in, like from the team defense side of things. They can't replicate like Cooper Flag and Malawach on the same collegiate defense. But yeah, I think this year, I think they're a little bit tougher to attack in certain areas. And like if somebody ran a motion offense on them last year, they could get some matchups on them. They could get Knipple into some switches here and there. This year, they don't really have that. They don't really have like a defensive like weak point for someone to attack them in that way. But yeah, I think defensively is going to be the calling card. Which is crazy because that was never always the case when Coach K was the coach. So it's uniquely John Shire's decision for this pivot. They're still a good offensive team and a capable offensive team. But yeah, defensively, I mean, the gap between them and the next best defense in the country, which is probably Houston, is fairly significant right now. So yeah, and again, that's the best unit going in. It's probably the Arizona offense and the Duke defense are the two best units in the country going into the NCAA tournament. And it's going to take a really, really special offensive effort to beat Duke in any capacity. So, yeah, just a really high-level defense. And I do think that John Shire deserves probably more credit than what he's gotten. I know he pisses people off, myself included, when he, fabricates court storming incidents and whatnot. But yeah, he's done a great job. And it's crazy. Duke hasn't had the ACC Coach of the Year, I think, since 2000, which is a wild stat. And this year, it should be John Shire, hands down. I don't know who I would have in second. Like maybe Jay Lucas. He's been awesome.
Definitely Jay Lucas.
Yeah, so it would be him or Jay Lucas. But yeah, that's probably it for the ACC.
I saw today, by the way, it's fun. You mentioned Jay Lucas. Fun facts. This is the second time ever, first time since, I believe it was February 16th, 1999, that both Miamis are ranked in the AP poll.
There you go. The more you know.
Jacob, you got anything on Duke, Virginia?
I mean, Duke just rolled. They're the best team in the country, hands down.
Thoughts on Virginia? I'm not really concerned about Virginia. Like, I still think Virginia is a good team, but like this game just showed the gap between Duke and the rest of the ACC because like I think Virginia has clearly established themselves as the second best team in the ACC, and like every team Duke has played this year, other than the loss in Chapel Hill in the ACC, like you've seen like when they played Louisville and they've just ran them off the floor both times they played them. When they played Clemson, when they played Virginia, now there's clearly just such a gap between Duke and the rest of the ACC, and I don't think it's as much like last year. I think the ACC was legitimately bad. I don't think the ACC is bad this year. Like, I think it's a much better league this year than it was last year. I just think Duke has distanced themselves from the rest of the league so much. I don't think this, like last year, the ACC was legitimately terrible. Because, I mean, like you had Clemson and Louisville last year. And then I believe Clemson, Louisville, and UNC, who shouldn't have even been in, were the only other three teams that even got in from the ACC last year.
The ACC is still bad. Like, let's just call for it. It's a little better because Jay Lucas and Will Wade have made their teams
a lot better.
So you add two more teams into the mix that otherwise would not have been there. But like, where does Virginia finish in the Big 12? Like, where do they finish in the Big 10? Like, they're not relative to the rest of the country. Like, I would not put, like, I don't think Virginia would finish second in the Big East. Like, I just don't think it's that good of a league yet. I think it's up and coming. I think that they're getting some better coaches in there. But yeah, they're still I would say like another year off from really like ratcheting it up.
But,
I
but
mean,
I
in the
think like
ACC
North
used
Carolina.
to be like it used to be the class of the country, kind of in some ways, and now it is not that. And not only is it not that, the caliber of coaches in the conference is not what it used to be either. It still could get there, but um, yeah, I just like the second best ACC coach is probably Will Wade, maybe. Like you can make an argument for Ryan Odom over Will Wade.
Pat
Um,
Kelsey.
yeah, like Kelsey's certainly built a decent team. They haven't won as much as I think they would have hoped. Um, but, overall, that, Florida State is not what they used to be. They're pretty down. It's going to take some time for them to get back to any kind of contention. And then the looming factor is like, what is the ceiling for North Carolina basketball with Hubert Davis as the coach? Will they ever, reach that status that they, kind of were under Roy Williams? And I'm not here to say like Hubert Davis has a terrible track record, but it's certainly not one that, meets the expectations of the North Carolina basketball program. So I think that's kind of the biggest area that the ACC is kind of lacked in some areas of is coaching, and they just haven't had great programs. So, the criticism of Duke was warranted when they, when people were coming down on the ACC for like not being very good. Like, I don't think Virginia is a great team, or Louisville, or North Carolina, or NC State, but yeah, they've done what they're supposed to do against the ACC. They've crushed everyone. So, can't take anything away from them for that. They're beating the brakes off of every team that they put out in front of them in the ACC. So, yeah.
And you mentioned NC State. Duke goes to NC State tonight.
Yes, that's a very big game because
And NC State, I was about to say, is like trending towards bubble territory. I think with how bad this bubble is, like I don't foresee them missing the tournament, but like they took a terrible loss in overtime against Notre Dame Saturday. Um, Notre Dame is horrible. Like
Notre
that's a
Dame's
lot to
got
read
kind
on.
of a bubble killer vibe to them. They beat TCU, which is looming over their heads, and now they beat NC State, which might keep them out.
I
There
don't
was
think no
some,
NC State's gonna miss with how bad this bubble is. Like
yeah,
I can't see that happening, but they're definitely like trending towards bubble discussion at least. Like I think they've done enough where they should be a safe tournament team no matter what. But they're trending in the wrong direction certainly.
yeah, it's been tough, tough sledding there in year one for Will Wade, but there is some online conspiracies that are being floated out there that Duke like must lose at NC State because I think the years they won the title recently, they've all lost at NC State or something. So they're like, please lose, like we need to lose, and they're not going to probably. But that game's always been tough over the years. Like usually that'd be like a Saturday noon tip. NC State, regardless of who the coach is, when Mark Gottfried had that team going, illegally recruiting left, right, and center, they always had some decent teams to
Did
go
Jacob's
against Duke.
power
So
just go out? Like
What happened?
it looked
it
very
embraces the
dark in the room.
darkness. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I mean we know the Elite Eight a couple years ago.
yeah.
NC State picked them off in the ACC championship
Which
and in
is
the Elite
crazy.
Eight.
Yeah, in hindsight. But yeah, the other most impressive win you got to go to was Florida just dismantling Arkansas and just every bit of
yeah, that was
Arkansas,
insane.
they were destroyed.
I was going to add real quick on Duke NC State. Do you guys remember this game from last year in Cameron, like where that girl threw up, like and the
Oh
game was
yeah,
delayed? Like, the girl like threw up and passed out. The game got delayed like 15 minutes. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but
yeah,
that was another like Duke almost dropped that one at home.
yeah. Crazy
Um,
times.
but yeah, Arkansas, Florida. Yeah, Florida destroyed Arkansas. Yeah, I mean,
That,
Matt, you're the Cal spokesman. Like, do you want to handle
I
this one?
do. Yes, I got nothing. I mean, I have some, but like it was just from the opening tip to the end, it was just an ass kicking of epic proportions. The Arkansas front court does not defend very well. The Arkansas perimeter does not defend very well. They are just obsessed with like getting as many possessions as possible and just trying to outscore these teams. And Florida was not having it. Yeah, it was, like from a basketball standpoint, it was fun to watch. Really, just Florida picked them apart. They got a better game from their guards, which is huge for them because of, again, if they shoot at like a replacement level team, they are like a national champion contender / favorite. But for them, it was rough because, I mean, the Arkansas fans in the comments after the game were not really thrilled because, I think if Florida didn't make a three, they still would have won the game by 10 or more points. So that was humiliating. But yeah, just the defensive issues on display all over for Arkansas. And they played with an edge. Like, Florida was all over them. Todd Golden got into it with Cal during the game. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, it was kind of neat to see in some ways that Florida's really rounding into, like, given where they were at the start of the season to where they are now, it's a totally different team. And it's a team capable of winning a national championship again, which in the earlier part of the season, I don't think was the case. So, yeah, they've been fun to watch. They got the best, deepest front court in the country, in my opinion. And they got a championship coach. So it's just going to be like, what are they going to get from the guards on a day-to-day basis? The guards have been better. Xavier Lee's been much better than what he was at the start of the season, which was basically unplayable. And he's starting to round into the player that they paid for when he was at Princeton. So, yeah, it's exciting times for Florida. Certainly not for Arkansas. It definitely puts a ceiling on how far they can go if they're going to defend that way. They just at times in the second half were not willing in the least. It was just as if they were waiting for the next possession to get started on the offensive end. Acuff, who's not like a high-level defender in the first place, just looked totally disinterested on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, definitely rough for Arkansas. They're going to have to figure that out pretty soon here. I mean, they're just going to have to be like average on defense. They can't be that bad. They just got to play average. But yeah, for Florida, hottest team in the country for sure, and maybe the most dangerous going into the tournament.
Clinched at least a share of the SEC title. Now with this first SEC title or SEC regular season title since Billy Donovan was the coach for Florida.
Yeah, and now, like, sorry to cut you off, but like, are they in contention for a 1 seed? If they win the SEC regular season and if they win the SEC tournament, I feel like it's going to be tough to keep them out of it. Now, granted, they've obviously lost at Duke and they got beat by UConn at Madison Square Garden, Jimmy V Classic. But yeah, I think they're definitely like, that's a half the battle. If you're a 1 seed and you get Florida in your region, that is not the most ideal draw.
I don't think they can get a 1 seed. Like, they would need a lot of help because, like, I think Michigan is. Well, I mean, we can go through it. Michigan can lose both of their games this week and lose their first game in Indianapolis, and Michigan's going to be a 1 seed. Michigan, the Hayes and the Barn, they're a 1 seed. Duke, I think. If Duke beats NC State tonight, you can also say Hayes in the Barn 1 seed, no matter what happens against UNC Saturday in ACC tournament. So I think Hayes in the Barn for Michigan already. Hayes in the Barn for Duke if they win tonight. And then you get to the UConn. Like, UConn played a close game against Seton Hall Saturday. But yeah, they have the head-to-head win over Florida already. So that'd be a feather in their cap for that. I think UConn should be safe as long. Who's UConn play this week?
They got relatively easy draws coming up here. Gotta check.
I think as long as UConn avoids like any bad losses, like, they should be good. And then Arizona's Arizona's another one. Like, uh, they should be relatively safe. So I think picking off UConn would probably be Duke's only hope at this point. Like I said, like I said, I think Michigan can lose both games this week and lose their first game in Indianapolis, and Michigan is a lock for a 1 seed. And I think if Duke wins tonight, they're also a lock for a 1 seed.
So you don't think there's any path if Duke were to lose in the ACC tournament, or if UConn were to lose in the Big East tournament, there would be no path for Florida to get one.
UConn would be the one. They would need UConn to take a bad loss, and then I think, like it'd be a little more of a debate. I think Duke, if Duke beats NC State tonight, I think they're set. Like I think they can lose to UNC on Saturday and lose their first game in the ACC tournament, which probably won't happen. But I'm just saying, like, if it did, like,
Yeah.
I think if Duke beats NC State tonight, gets another quad one win, they're, and they obviously have the best win in the country this year. I think Duke but do we agree about Michigan, by the way, that like Michigan is set in stone 1 seed. Like they can lose their next 3 games, and there's no scenario where Michigan doesn't get a 1 seed.
Maybe. I mean, it wouldn't throw me off that much if they lost their next 3 games and Florida just annihilated everyone the rest of the season. I feel as if it would be a discussion. I mean, it's I wouldn't say no to Florida's case in that situation, but
I think Florida just stumbled too many times in the non-conference to jump any of those teams at this point. Like I said, barring a real collapse from UConn or Arizona down the stretch here, and Arizona's another one with the head-to-head over Florida, like you mentioned with UConn. So
I think there's only one open 1 seed at this point in the season, and that is UConn's to lose at this point.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. We did mention UConn. Thoughts on Seton Hall? Kept it close with them again. Like I said on Friday, like
they always keep
struggles.
It close. Yeah, they always keep it close. It was basically Alex Caravan Day at UConn. They did, which is cool. I think it's good for the sport. It's a guy who was there all 4 years, started all 4 years. That is not something you see every day in the sport, but
I think I'm a pro do senior day after the game versus before the game.
Interesting.
Because if you're Alex Caravan and like obviously like UConn kind of stumbled out the gate, like you're seeing your name in the rafters and you're crying, and it's like before the game, and then you gotta like lock in to play a game. Like obviously you're gonna start slow. That's what I think. There's arguments for both ways, but I think doing senior day after the game is probably
now the most famous version of this. Obviously, is when Duke had their like Coach K party before they played North Carolina, and North Carolina went in there and beat them. So yeah, I can see both sides. It definitely, can go both ways. But yeah,
the same thing happened to Auburn last year. We did senior day and then lost to Alabama.
Mark Sears, yeah, but that was a good day for UConn. Definitely one of the cooler things to see in the sport now. You don't see that very often. So that's cool. And you'll probably see that with Braden Smith at Purdue coming up here. I don't know my Purdue retired jerseys off the top of my head, but I would have to assume in recent memory, it'd be like each one more probably has his jersey retired, or Jawan Johnson, Robbie Hummel,
I know
Carson Edwards, Jaden Knight.
He has his jersey retired. I
know that makes sense.
We honor, I don't know if we retire numbers officially, but we put the number up in the rafters. Let me look at that.
I would assume Braden Smith's going to be up there. But those are the only Purdue guys. Maybe they did for Swanigan. Trying to think of others, but I think that would be like
big dog. Glenn Robinson.
That makes sense. Glenn
Rick
Robinson had
Mount.
a pretty good NBA career.
Rick Mount.
Okay, that's fair. That's it for retired numbers?
Let me look. I don't know. There's a few. If you were All American, you got your number up in the rafters.
Well, that's fair.
Let's see.
Auburn only has 2.
Who's that for Auburn? Is it Barkley and
Wesley Pearson.
okay.
And I'm sure Broom will be sooner rather than later.
That's fair, probably.
Yeah, Broom should get a statue as well. Like if he won National Player of the Year, he definitely would have get because like given every Heisman guy a statue and Barkley has a statue. I still think Broom should get a statue.
Should Bruce Pearl get a statue?
Oh yeah, Bruce should have the court named after him. I'm surprised they didn't do that this year.
Interesting.
Even with like what I said earlier and like my dismay with how he handled his exit, like I still think Bruce deserves to have the court named after him.
The other thing, in addition to the weak bubble,
I know what you're gonna bring up. I know where you're going. Baker Mazzara.
Oh yeah,
I was not going to bring that up, but yeah,
dude, he just went and sat in the crowd.
Yeah, let's just dive into that. What an ending to a very checkered career at best.
The best possible way for that career to end.
Arguably the biggest punchline of college basketball for maybe 2 years running now. Yeah, just I mean, what is his college career going to be remembered for besides being like? It's got to be the Yale ejection. It's got to be the Yale ejection is the one that everyone's going to be like, "Yep, that was Chad."
Can't read, can't write, can't finish.
Yeah,
he had like 23 in the Final Four last year, but unfortunately, it was a losing effort.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy stuff there.
I'm sorry, I thought that's where you were going.
No, I was going to get there eventually. But I'm glad you brought that up because that is legitimately hilarious that he, like at USC, this is USC. This is not like Michigan or Vanderbilt or some institution that kind of holds themselves to higher like academic standards for their student athletes. No, USC is a good school otherwise, but yeah, I just, can't believe that. What must he have done? He must have probably fought Muss or something.
Well, he just quit in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously did not help his case. Yeah, just wild stuff. Yeah.
I mean, and that's a bubble team, like, losing their leading scorer. So, like, that's gotta, like... also, made me think, by the way, just, like, news and notes, by the way, Michigan lost L.J. Kaysen for the season. He averages about 12 points a game.
I was going to mention that. He's their backup point guard to Elliot Cadeau. So if Cadeau has a bad game or gets in foul trouble, there's not really...
It's a big loss for them, but, I mean, they also have a ton of depth, so I'm not, like... I don't think it's, like, super concerning for them because, like, they have enough depth. But, like, definitely a significant loss and, like, hate to see it for him to... I mean, he's a pretty significant contributor to that team. So, like, that's not just, like, I know we're kind of, like, brushing over it, mentioning it here, but that is a pretty big loss for the national title favorite going into the tournament.
Yeah, that does not help. Sucks for him there. Hate that. And what I was going to get into was in the lack of depth is I think like this is not a good year to fire your coach if you needed a new coach. I don't think this does not seem like a great year to do it. There's not a ton of candidates you have that are not desirable per se, but a candidate that you're not like firing your head coach for. So I don't know how many of these jobs you'll see come open. I mean, some of them just have to open because like, what are we doing otherwise? but like it's not a great pool of assistants or mid-major head coaches that you can find that should be available to some of these teams. Last year was good, but I don't know about this year.
I mean, K-State's still the only Power 5 job
Yeah.
open to this point, and we usually see about 4 or 5 at this point, I feel like, open already.
Yeah.
They talked about that on game day, Saturday, in fact. But
Yeah, I don't think it's a great year to need a head coach unless you like really, really buy into Travis Steele or Josh Shearts. I mean, there are
Jared Calhoun.
rumors. Yeah, there are rumors that Richard Pitino would leave Xavier for Providence. I don't know if that would make much sense, if that would be a lateral move, or I'm not really sure. But
I mean, Jared Calhoun's probably like number one on most boards if you're a big job and you do need a coach, I imagine.
yeah,
And like, yeah, bravo to Creighton for getting Alan Huss locked down last year, because he would have been in demand this year.
Talk about high point again. Flynn Clayman might be an underdog candidate for some schools.
sorry, I'm just reading this headline on my phone. Gilbert Arenas wants USC to call and apologize to Chad Baker-Mazar for kicking him off the team after he randomly sat in the stands in the middle of a game.
What?
Yeah, that's all right. Agent Zero wants some answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
just like poetic ending to the story
Yeah.
of Chad Baker-Mazar. Like,
yeah, that is one where I want someone to ask Bruce Pearl about that on a Turner broadcast. Be like, so surprised, or how you feeling here? What's the emotion you're feeling now?
hey, like, it's a feather in the cap of Bruce Pearl, the fact that like he managed to get quality basketball for 2
Sure.
years out of that guy. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he had some incidents, but I mean, like, kept it afloat. I mean, especially last year, like, ran it all the way to the Final Four with him. Like, obviously
Yeah.
Muss couldn't even get through a full year of it.
Yeah, very true.
Bruce Pearl's better than Muss. I remember that used to always. That used to be like a hot SEC coach debate with Arkansas fans starting that Bruce Pearl versus Muss.
Muss had a decent 2-year stretch there, or maybe 3 years. 2020 to 2023. Got some decent NCAA tournament success out of Arkansas. Then it fell off pretty quick.
Game to mention Saturday, by the way. Texas Tech, JT Toppinless went to Hilton and kicked the shit out of Iowa State. We said Texas Tech. We kind of wrote them off on Friday. I think there's still a Final Four contender if they're playing like this. They gotta tip your hat to that. Like, they lose JT Toppin, and like somehow, some way, even with a team that lacks depth, they have not missed a beat without him.
Yeah, that was really impressive. They shot the hell out of the ball. And for Iowa State, that's kind of an inexcusable game to lose. I mean, for Iowa State, they're always going to be really well coached and really tough on defense. This year, it's kind of like feast or famine for them on the 3-point edge of things. They have the best 3-point shooter in the country. But if those shots aren't falling, then they have kind of struggled at times with non-Houston opponents. It feels like they were awesome in the half court in the second half against Houston. But yeah, they just got kind of battered around. Texas Tech is a much more athletic team than Iowa State. That kind of came into play. And yeah, they just made enough shots, and it was a super. I mean, they've been there before. Like, JT Toppin last year got ejected in the first minute of the game when they played at Houston, and then Texas Tech went on to beat Houston in overtime. They've been there before. I think they're capable of winning those kinds of games, and they might be capable of winning 3 or 4 straight NCAA tournament games. I don't think they're a national champion contender.
I'll be right back. Give me a
But
minute.
they definitely have done enough to kind of secure their place as a team that, should not be slept on after the Toppin injury. I think it was fair to say that most people wrote them off on a national scale, but Yeah, they're still perfectly capable of getting to Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, and they're super well coached. And they're good enough, more and athletic enough that they can give a lot of those teams problems. I just think playing in the Big 12 is such an advantage for them, and they see the best teams in the country on a weekly basis, so they'll be prepared if they have to play some of these Big Ten or ACC, Big East teams in NCAA tournament play. So yeah, I don't really worry for Texas Tech in the first weekend per se, but once it gets to the second weekend, teams have a longer window to prepare. I think that'll be a tougher time for them. But arguably the best win of the season by any Big 12 team, you could argue. And the same thing goes for Kansas just getting wiped out by Arizona. Darren Peterson looked pretty healthy, but overall, that was just Arizona steamrolled him. Braden Burries was best player on the court, and just a defensive effort of Arizona, and they're so well organized on that side of the ball. Offensively, they just pushed the tempo of the game, got Kansas into a really high tempo game that they didn't seem as if they were prepared for. And yeah, there were a ton of times where Arizona would take and make shots with little seconds wasted on the shot clock. They just really pushed the pace, get up and down on Kansas, and defensively they were just too good. The Big 12 might be my favorite conference in college basketball this year. It's hard to argue with. Just every night, those teams beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, there's been some crazy games there. Having Texas Tech beat Iowa State after what they've gone through the last couple weeks with topping out, they've just proven themselves as a good team, great team, actually. So they may have something for in March Madness. I picked them in the Final Four before the year, but then they had some early losses, and then they came back and beat Duke, and they beat a whole bunch of teams. Arizona, Iowa State,
Duke.
Yeah, I said Duke before, but
yeah, fun times in Big 12 basketball. It's crazy. All those teams, you get tonight, Duke's getting NC State, and then after Duke gets NC State, you just have a slugfest waiting in the 9 Eastern window. So, yeah, it seems to be just
what's
just
the
how it's been
slugfest?
going. Tonight, I was just making the joke that the ACC just you get at Duke just blowing the doors off of someone in the ACC who stinks, and then the nightcap of the Big 12 game, just the two teams beating the shit out of each other, whoever it is. Yeah, it's just different basketball.
One thing I was going to bring up from the weekend, by the way, I hinted at it, but like I said earlier, do any of these bubble teams want to make the tournament? So Cal loses to Pitt. SMU goes 0-2 last week. They're firmly on it now. We mentioned Auburn's loss. This is just another year where it's and this is probably the last year we're going to have a 68-team tournament. And this bubble is horrible. And a lot of these teams, I don't think anybody wants to see anywhere near the tournament. But yeah, this bubble is really bad. And some of these teams that needed to get wins over the weekend did not and took some really bad lumps.
The only team that really on the bubble that really wanted to win was Ohio State, unfortunately.
I think Cal might be the most inexcusable one. Because they were trending well, they were looking like a tournament team, and then they just go and get shelled by a terrible Pitt team that's about to fire their coach by 16. That was probably the worst loss any. I think worst losses of the weekend, if we're talking about, are Cal and Auburn firmly.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. And I mean, the overarching theme of this should be that NCAA tournament expansion, bad idea.
So stupid.
Do not want it. Yeah, I do not understand uh, why it's necessary, and just not here for it. No,
We need to rise up and fight for 68.
Yeah, and they've already started to ruin college football with that, and now they are trying to do this with college basketball.
It's just amazing. It's already the biggest postseason in sports. There's no other sport on the planet that sends this many teams to postseason play, and they're like, we need more teams.
They just want more games and more money, and that's all that matters to them.
Has there even been like a hypothetical bracket for 76?
People have made
like,
some.
what would it
Yeah.
even look like?
It would have like some of those like last four in kind of plans, like just a bunch of like Dayton regionals, and then just have them in the field.
I did see, by the way,
stupid.
So in the NEC, you mentioned earlier, there are two teams in the NEC. I think it's Lemoyne and Merrimack, Mercyhurst, who are not. If they go to the championship, it would trigger like an AQ game between the top two teams in the regular season.
Yes, and it makes no sense. That's the stupidest rule of all time. Mercyhurst is shocking that they're D1 anyway. They've gone from like D3 to D2 to D1 in a relatively short span of time. But yeah, I don't understand. The NEC's full of those teams. Merrimack used to be in the NEC, and then they got out of there.
I mean, the year FDU beat Purdue. Yeah. FDU shouldn't have even been in the tournament.
Correct.
I know 1 year Bellarmine won the conference tournament in the ASUN, and I forget who it was. I think it was Jacksonville State that went to the tournament.
Yeah, very dumb rule. Don't understand that.
What else from the weekend? If we any bases we didn't? I'm trying to think. Oh, Tennessee, Alabama.
Yeah, Tennessee, Alabama. Tennessee choked.
Yeah, not a shocking outcome. But how are you? Are you reeling? Not looking forward to that Bama game coming up here?
I mean, it just is what it is. It's just no different than football now. It's like, all right, well, that's what it is. This is what it is this year, at least. It's a great thing about college basketball is like, you know what? We're going to reset in the off season, and we'll come back stronger next year. But I don't know. Maybe they'll get something out of them Saturday. You never know. It's an unpredictable sport.
How would you rank your hatred of Nick Saban, Nate Oates, and Kalen DeBoer?
DeBoer's definitely least hated. I'd still say Saban's most hated, and then Oates, and then big gap.
How close is it between Oates and Saban?
Not close. Maybe closer than you would think, but not close.
Okay. I didn't know if Oates was closing that gap a little bit.
He's closing it, but he's got a lot of work to do to get to my Saban levels of hate.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah.
I still think I think the real question would be like if you gave me like Brian Harsin, Hugh Freeze, and Nate Oates, who I hate the most out of those three.
Interesting.
That would be a tough one.
That is tough, yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, Tennessee, Bama. I didn't get to see that one on Saturday. Anything
Didn't
on that
really
one?
miss much.
I watched it. LeBaron Philon.
Yeah, the Bama guards just took over the game.
Yeah. Tennessee kind of faded right at the end of the game.
And that's the other thing I've kind of seen. Like Nate Ament is like super high on these draft boards, and he's really good. But some of the comparisons people have been making about, they're like, oh, he's Kevin Durant light. And like, no, like, stop this. What are we doing? Like, no. So, yeah, I've yet to see, like, I hope Native Men has a big tournament or something, because I just have not seen where I'm just like, yeah, that guy can't miss.
I also just don't think he's a fit
I
in
don't
that
really think so
system.
either. Yeah,
Like it was a weird fit from the start with him going there.
yeah.
Because yeah, they've never like had like a scoring wing like that. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
never
mean, Dalton
been
Connect
how
was the
Barnes teams
closest thing
plays.
they've had to, like, that kind of player. And Dalton Connect was good, but he, you know, it's a different profile completely from what Native
Yeah.
Men is.
Another big one was BYU lost again at West Virginia. That was an ugly. I
Okay,
saw
so West
earlier.
Virginia's not bad. They've got a good resume of games, and if you look at those Big 12 standings, they've won a lot of conference games in the best league in college basketball. So West Virginia's not terrible. However,
4-8
should not be. Yeah, like,
in their last 12.
yeah.
And I saw a stat earlier at Torvik, they are 196th in adjusted defensive efficiency since January 14th. So
Well,
it doesn't matter if AJ DeBansta scores 40 every night. If you're
and now
196,
you're like at the mercy of making sure like he hasn't checked out yet. He doesn't seem to be that kind of guy who would do that. But you better make sure that he's that he's engaged. Because if he drops off in the slightest way, they are like, I will put a good amount of money on them to get beat by some mid-major team in the first round.
we glossed over Arizona, Kansas on Saturday, but Kansas, like,
Yeah,
only big. I mean, Arizona rolled, but the biggest takeaway from that one is, like, I mean, Peterson looked good. He played over 30 minutes again. Like,
yes, that was
so,
he was healthy, so we'll see if he gets to the LED courts.
yeah. So I mean, like you said on Friday, like you think the BS is over with Peterson, and I mean he's played over 30 minutes in 3 straight games now. So
Yeah, should be over.
But yeah, tough loss for Kansas. Don't Kansas is probably not. I mean, it's tough to say because I mean if Peterson just turns the corner, they could be a Final Four contender. But I mean even then he looked good Saturday. They got run off the floor. Yeah, I mean if they could play every game on a Monday in Allen Fieldhouse, they'd win the national championship. Unfortunately, they can't. So I don't know. I mean, it's just Kansas is definitely. I like it's 3 straight years now. They've gone down a peg. I'd say as a program, like there was such a
I mean, they
gap.
won a national championship 4 years ago.
Yeah, but then like the last 3 years, it's like I'm not saying they suck, but like
Yeah, I mean, 23, they were national champion good. They were 1 seed that year, and then Bill Self had the health issues. He couldn't coach. That team was good. That team was not fully staffed. Arkansas beat them in the second round. But yeah, 24, Gonzaga just annihilated. That was rough. That was I mean, I would say I would just characterize it as the Hunter Dickinson era of kind of like that kind of player. But we'll see. I mean, they're capable. They've won a lot with and without Darren Peterson. They are battle tested. They've played a great schedule. So, if they are firing on all cylinders, they're a contender.
Yeah, and then Arizona's still Arizona. Not much to discuss there. They're really good.
Yeah.
They'll be a 1 seed. They play Iowa State tonight, so I don't know. Big opportunity for Iowa State to get things turned around, but probably I stop at opportunity because it's probably not going to happen there.
I
But
don't see it. Yeah.
yeah, those games in the Big 12, BYU can't defend anybody. There's that, and then We mentioned Gonzaga, St. Mary's, the final regular season meeting in that rivalry. One of the best rivalries in the sport there in the West Coast Conference for years. And it was kind of poetic, I feel like, St. Mary's winning that one because this is I think it's the fifth or sixth straight year they've gotten a win over Gonzaga. And
Yeah, I mean that
they just
usually is the script. St. Mary's beats them at St. Mary's. Gonzaga beats them at home and in the WCC championship game usually. So that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, and so yeah, like I said, kind of like a poetic way for that rivalry to end in the regular season for St. Mary's to get that. But like I said, this Gonzaga resume is flimsy this year. They just have not really beaten anybody good in a while, and have one of the worst losses, or the worst, like of any team that was on the selection show last Saturday. Like they by far had the worst loss of any of those teams.
Yeah, it's probably
That
them or Florida to Auburn.
I mean, come on.
Well, yes, in the grand scheme, obviously, the Pilots are a much worse defeat,
I was about to
but
say,
still, yeah.
I think the Portland Pilots are a little bit worse loss than Auburn.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, I don't know, like that was a game Gonzaga could have changed my opinion on them that I've been talking about, and yeah, they still continue to strike me as in the computer tricker category. And then trying to think of like bubble ones off top. Texas A&M was a big bubble game Saturday, and Texas went to College Station and got a win there. So Sean Miller, year one at Texas, getting things turned around there. They should solidly be in the field now, and it did not seem like for a while they were going to be anywhere near that.
Yeah, they foul a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but they should be in. They'll be top there. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the Bears got a huge win at UCF, going to Central Florida, a clear-cut tournament team, and getting a huge win on the road.
In the bounce house.
Yeah, still remains one of the best offensive teams in the country. I believe the KenPom defensive rankings are, I think Baylor is 121st in defense. Auburn is 122nd. So
sounds about
great
right.
company for, the Bears to be in there.
Yeah, sounds about right. And there are two teams that are not going to be in the NCAA tournament. So
yeah.
Sounds
enjoy
about right.
The NIT or the Crown. That should be
Oh,
fun.
I haven't even thought about that yet. Are we going to the Crown?
Maybe. You might have a Crown invite on your hands.
I do have another. I've got to mention DePaul beat Marquette on Sunday.
Very true.
They're gonna finish above 500 for the first time in who knows how long.
I think it's 2007. I think it's So almost 20 years.
Dude, I was watching a game the other day, and they mentioned, I forgot what coach or what team. It might have been on game day or during a game on Saturday, but they mentioned that they brought up the Crown as an accolade for
I know they brought up the Crown because all the teams that were in the Crown, because didn't Nebraska win it last year?
Yeah.
And they were like, see, winning the Crown has its perks. Look at what that did for Nebraska. That springboarded Nebraska into this year. So they were using it as see, this is what winning the Crown can do for you. So they were using it kind of that way to be wow. I mean, this is just a great Crown alumnus. Nebraska is now just, a top 5 team in the Big Ten.
Dude, I would rather Auburn not go to the NIT or the Crown because I can't imagine the memes that Alabama fans would have for the rest of time.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough.
I would just rather not play.
The Yale game was bad enough, and now it's you can't go to the Crown or the NIT. Just
can't have Stephen Pearl holding up the Crown and have that to be used for the rest of time.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
Mention Texas A&M. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else from the weekend? Or
I
we're about ready to put wraps on this thing and get into conference
Mhm.
tournament. Conference
Yeah.
tournaments beginning this week / the last week of the regular season.
I will be going to a couple conference tournaments this week.
I'll be going to one.
Going to a couple of the games from the Big South, and then of course the SoCon tournament this weekend on Saturday, and then hopefully
Big South could be decent. That should be high points to
Sunday, Monday.
lose.
Yeah.
I mean, Winthrop and Presbyterian aren't too far behind,
Mhm.
but
Jacob, the Bucks lost again.
Yeah,
Are you starting to get concerned?
Yeah, not the only bad week all around for me. We did bring it back in that game, but Mercer shot an insane
The
amount of
Bears.
free throws. Yeah, they're a scary.
Are they
team.
the real Bears?
Honestly,
I don't
they're
know.
Mercer is a scary team compared to like Wofford. Wofford doesn't scare me at all.
Well, they just
Mercer
beat you
does scare
too.
me.
So
Yeah, I mean, but Wofford don't scare me, to be honest.
I love
We
Jacob. Man.
sold that game.
Wofford just beat him, and he's like, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like,
The way they play, ETSU lost themselves that game. Wofford didn't beat us. Now Saturday, Mercer beat us. Like they shot an insane. Like in the first half, they went hit like 11 threes or something crazy like that. Have to look at that.
Okay.
But
yeah.
hopefully we get
hot
healthy
takes
and
here in SoCon.
oh, did you
get healthy?
Did you guys see the Willard press conference about Patino?
Yes, that was good stuff. Yeah.
Awesome quote.
And he had to do a tweet about it after because no one could tell he was like ripping Patino or if he was paying him a compliment.
Yeah, hold on. I'll get the quote. I got to look it up. I want to make sure I get it right and don't screw it up.
Kevin Willard's been through
He said,
some serious shit with Patino. He was with the Celtics when Patino was the coach.
Willard said, I'm not bullshitting you. I don't have hair because of this guy. It's the most miserable experience in life. You fear for your life, and as he's gotten older, he's probably become more of a cranky old bitch. So great stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like you said, he clarified, like they're good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always funny when there's like a quote like that where like, and we know Willard's always been a soundbite guy like that.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure he
Cronin
wouldn't
of the
say,
East. Yeah.
but people love to like overreact and be like, whoa, and it's like, all right, some things can just be funny. It's okay. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, that was a St. John's beat the shit out of Nova. So they bounced back from that destruction they got at the hands of UConn pretty well.
Yeah, they scored a little more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm about ready to wrap it up. If you guys are, if you got anything else, get it in. Otherwise, we'll be back. Anything from you guys before I put a wrap on it?
Enjoy conference championship 2 weeks. This weekend, next week.
We got another absolute Rothstein banger. Did you guys catch that one?
Yeah.
Like right when the war started, and it's like all war tweets, and then like in the middle of it, it's Rothstein. In 2 weeks, we will have a bracket. I love Rothstein, man.
I sent that meme. It was like ABC, NBC, every other.
It was like every news like organization you can think of, like talk about the war, and then John Rothstein. In 2 weeks, we will have a bracket. John never misses.
John Rothstein tweeting about Belmont playing William and Mary in 2027.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Other than that, we're in March. It's time, boys. Gonna have a great week, and Jacob's gonna be at some games. I'll be at some games. We'll try to get some content out there from those games, and then yeah, we'll reconvene. When we reconvene, we'll figure that out. But yeah, other than that, Thanks, guys, for joining. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Do all the good stuff. Follow us, subscribe, all that stuff. Retweet, like, um, all that supportive stuff. We appreciate. And we will be back. Until then.